What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Game Over Greggy Show. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the Reverend Jared Petty. Hey, Jared, how are you?
The
I'm so used to reaching over and have Nick Scarpino here with his ice cream scoops and his heather gray shirts. You threw me for a loop here in your blue polo.
I am not a producer nor a seducer. I'm
Get
merely
ahead of
Jared.
yourself.
But I'm thrilled to be here. I have wanted to be on the show since you began this noble endeavor. That was many decades ago, and now at last, here to join you on Game Over
Reverend
Greggy.
Jared Petty.
Yep, very happy.
IGN.com's own.
Yes, indeed.
We have something new to talk about, but we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
Over here at the Pride of Long Island, Colin Moriarty.
It's good to be with you today.
It's good to be here with you.
This
today
is
as well.
like time warp, Colin. This is great. I forgot to bring this up on Gamescast because we recorded that a second ago. But like you without the beard and the hair, I'm like, whoa. I saw a picture of you with Aaron, and that it confused me because I didn't read the caption because I don't like to read. And I was just like, what the fuck? Like, what the hell is this? I thought it was an old picture. I'm like, oh.
But it's a new
Then
picture.
I read.
It's a new old picture.
Did you weave a cocoon and then come out? Like
I did.
changed?
I actually just went to a barber for the first time since 2008.
Okay.
Did you have them do the beard too?
Yeah.
Man, I've never done it. Never done it. I don't trust Supercuts to do that. So
I
would
didn't
have
go to Supercuts.
I'd have to go to some fancy shit.
I went to a place
let
called
them touch
Metropolitan
this thing.
Barbershop, which is like very highly recommended. It was expensive, but it was, I'm not going to do it all the time.
How much is expensive?
It was $50 with tip for them to shave my head and shave my beard, which is a lot of money.
Yeah.
Sure.
For context, I was making the guy laugh. I'm like, I bought a $20 buzzer in early 2008 at Target, and I've been using it ever since. And I've shaved my own head every single time. And it's not like a miraculous haircut, but I'm paying probably a dime a haircut at this point.
At this point, yeah. I can't get a clean, even shave when I do it myself. Actually, my hair looks awful right now anyway. But I salute you going to a quality barber because I have been a victim of beard homicide. It's happened. I went to a barber once who made unsolicited changes in my beard pattern.
Oh my God, that's
and they
scary
were
me.
severe. And honestly, it was.
He gave you those panini lines?
He tried to give me the chin strap without asking, and he got well into it before. It's like, what are you doing? And it was a sad moment. And I had about 6 weeks where if you watch it on IGN, every video, I've got my hand like this because this isn't exactly a striking profile. I look at the Pillsbury Doughboy anyway, but just having it up here looked so weird. But worse, I've had my beard since I was 18 years old. I have never shaved it off.
Wow.
And I could feel parts of my face down there that I had not felt, and it was just not okay.
Ugh.
Yeah, I basically told him, he's like, well, what do you usually do? I'm like, I usually do like 3/8 inch or a quarter of an inch. And I'm like, just, but I usually shave it. I used to shave it really short. I'm like, just do whatever you want. Then he asked me a few questions, and then I was like, have at it.
Go for it.
And it'll all grow. It's hair. It'll grow back. But I like it. I'm not gonna maintain it. This just gives me more time until I have to shave my head again.
Sure.
But I wanted to try it once. Treat myself to something nice.
Treat
the nice,
yourself.
the nice little shave with the cream on the back of the neck.
They use a straight razor. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's
That was
the
very
business.
nice. It was like I was laughing. I'm like, it's so unusual to have anyone else using
Touch
a
you.
buzzer on my hair. Like
No.
really, you buzz my neck, but
Come on, don't insult me. I know I'm not an
you
artist
play a role.
over
You play
here.
a role.
Did they do the hot towel? Did they do the hot towel?
No, they didn't.
Oh, the hot towel's so good.
Some nice aftershave on the neck, and just a good buzzer, not a buzzer that's like pulling out half of your hair as you're like, because it's getting stuck because you haven't oiled it in years. And
I want to
paid
say
$20
shout out to the Gregs of the world though, because there is a very special something when you shave your own head of having that guy that finishes the job, because no one can see back there.
No.
There's not a mere contraption in the world that can perfectly allow you to shave the back of your head.
It's true that when I was younger, I used
Bunch
to
of mirrors
actually
in like a hexagon.
I used to do it. I used to do it by myself, and I have done it by myself, and I think I've done okay. But you just never really know.
It never looks like this.
No. Oh no. But it never looks like this when he does it either.
Greg can do it. I give him credit.
Over there, the pure one, Tim Gettys.
Let Tim host.
If you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Game Over Greggy Show. Each and every week, 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather around this table. Each bring a random topic discussion for your amusement. If you like that, head over to patreon.com/kindafunny, where you can get each and every episode early, along with a whole bunch of goodies and exclusives and early access and exclusive access and all sorts of pictures and things like that. Also, Amy Gill's over there. If you don't have any bucks to toss our way, though, on patreon.com/kindafunny, head over to youtube.com/kindafunny, where we post the show topic by topic, day by day, the following week, before the entire thing is up for free as one big video in MP3 the following Friday.
I'm gonna hijack this real quick before we go any further. Just wanted to say that a woman named Lindsay McKean reached out to me and asked us to wish her boyfriend Adam Dubuisson.
Made that up.
Adam Dubuisson. His birthday's on August 13th. He'll be 25 years old. He's apparently a big fan. And it's his birthday, so I wanted to wish him a happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Adam Dubuisson.
Dubuisson. How I love Dubuisson. We can make this work, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Les enfants terribles.
That's something.
Jared,
Yeah.
your topic is starting us off.
Well, Greg, I am here to shill.
Yes.
Yes, I am here to unapologetically shill. My topic is my new show.
What's your new show?
My new show is called Pockets Full of Soup. And,
Sounds gross.
Yeah, it sounds gross, but it tastes delicious. Yep. There's a story behind Pockets Full of Soup and where that name came from. I think I'll tell it on the show. If you want to know, you should watch. Or
Wow,
listen.
look at that. What a
Damn.
tease. He's a pro.
Damn.
Yeah, find out where that.
So
that
what
term comes
is
from.
Pockets Full of Soup?
Well, Pockets Full of Soup is a storytelling show. It's an interview show at heart, but not the kind of interviews maybe you're used to seeing, because I'm not really asking my guests about themselves so much as I'm asking about the people who have made them who they are. For example, Greg Miller.
Yeah.
You're going to appear on this show.
Right after
You're a
this.
guest. Yeah, we're going to get together. We're going to film that. You're going to sit down, and I'm going to say, Greg, tell me about somebody you're thankful for.
Oh, okay.
You're going to pick somebody, not the person you're most thankful for necessarily, but somebody who has influenced you, because each of us in our lives are all formed not just by our own decisions, but by the people around us. I know this really well. The people at this table have changed my life in many wonderful, positive ways.
In many horrible ways.
Wonderful ways. And they're just a few of the ones. Everybody has a story to tell about the human beings that have influenced them. I'm not going to try to make this saccharine or overly sweet. I think the idea here is that we're just going to talk about the real influences, whether they be sad or funny or touching or wonderful or tragic, the ways people have influenced us, made us who we are, helped us, and shooting for something, positive. So, and we're also launching the Patreon around this week,
Sure.
or I am. So the show, again, Pockets Full of Soup, you're going to be able to find that at pocketsfullofsoup.com. And the Patreon is patreon.com/Jared Petty. My name, Jared Petty. And I'm going to be reaching out this week and asking people to help support this. Because in addition to being something that I really think could be useful, a different kind of voice, something that doesn't really exist yet in this conversational, social friend space on the internet, I also, frankly, could use the help with my income right now. And it would be very kind if people were able to assist in that. I think that I'm providing something that they're going to enjoy, and I could use some help from that.
So let's talk about it all over the fact. You put out a lot of interesting tidbits there I want to talk about.
Too many tidbits.
No, not at all. Not at all. Why is this the show you want to do right now?
Okay, well, it's for several reasons. First, I think I'm going to go back to Bob Ross on this, when the Bob Ross Twitch thing happened. Some people here may know, but I, like many people in the world, struggle with depression and anxiety. And Bob Ross's emergence or reemergence into the world on Twitch and later on Netflix has had a positively therapeutic effect on me, because this guy, for all the goofiness and the silliness of the hair and the kind of weird brand that he built around that, and sitting there painting on public television in front of a black background, strip the irony away from the resurgence and popularity. And what the guy was all about was trying to help you have a better day, not just when he was there with you, but when he walked away. He was there to say there's something in the world besides horror and frustration and difficulty. Yes, those things are real. He never denied them. But he said you also have some measure of control over some parts of your life. Reach out, seize those, and be a better person. Nobody does that alone. And that's, I think, the seed that was planted that got me on this. And I thought, what's something that I can do to try in a tiny way to reach people and help them to hear again and again and again the testimonies that despite as bad as it all gets, things can get better. Well, every human being in this room, every human being I've ever met, no matter how rough things have turned out, people have stories that are meaningful about what people have done for them or to them or with them that have made things better. Yes, there are bad ones too. I get that. Sure. I don't want to be in denial about the rotten way the world can be. I think I've had plenty of occasion to understand how crappy it gets. But in the middle of all that, I also keep running into wonderful things. So first part of that's a force for positivity. What, are you hurling objects at Kevin? That was force for positivity as we stone Kevin. That's the beginning. I also wanted to do something that I could do on my own. Something I could manage. This is me and a guest. I have been fortunate enough in my time here in San Francisco to develop a network of friends that are professional entertainers, people that are all about creating good stories. You guys hear it Kind of Funny every day. This is a site about community. This is this is an initiative about community. My buddies over the Comedy Button, and again and again and again, people finding ways to reach out. This is my own little way to make that happen. And also to be frank, another reason I'm doing this at this time in this way and launching it with the Patreon is because this is an expensive place to live, and things have been tight. And this is a measure I believe I can take to help make that happen.
And now that's the other tidbit you keep talking about and branching about. I find what's interesting about you doing this and talking about bringing positivity and bringing this positive person and, shining a light on the good in the world, right? Is that for me, when we worked together at IGN, you were always that guy. Every day you were the nicest, happiest dude, go out of your way to help everybody and all these different things.
It's very kind of you. I have plenty of bad days where I'm horrible and evil.
No, I don't believe
I haven't seen that ever,
I was gonna
so
say that. I don't think
you're a
anybody's just
liar.
that
I've got
way.
a terrible temper. I really do.
No, I believe it. I mean, I guess because you're saying it and you've never lied before, but I don't know. You strike me as one of those, I'm having a bad day, and you piss Colin off, you put his phone over there. When he's not looking, you're like, I got him good. I'm so angry today. But the thing about it is, I want to know, how do you maintain that? You maintain this positive persona, and you've had so many reasons to break. You have been, you know what I mean? I feel like it's that I'll never forget when the accident happened. I'm sure our audience knows all about it. I'll ask you, tell whatever you're comfortable with. But when that happened, I remember Brian Albert texting me when he knew I was on a plane ride. And when I landed, he called me as soon as I texted back because he knew I was off the plane. And it was one of those things of how can the worst thing happen to the best person we know?
Well, bad things happen to people, I think, regardless of where they are in life. I without exploring the cosmological or theological implications of that, bad things happen, and they happen to everybody. Some worse things happen to some and some to others. But when that car came up the wrong way up the bridge and hit Angie on the face, I guess I should tell the story, shouldn't I?
Sure.
So, yeah, for those that don't know, and this audience, many people in this audience really helped us. About a year and a half ago, my wife and I were struck by a drunk driver driving the wrong way up the Bay Bridge, or an impaired driver. And she came up this one-way bridge the wrong way, hit his head on in high speed. My wife was almost killed. My wife is still recovering. Some of her injuries she will never completely recover from. She's doing far better than we ever thought she would. And in that dark time where we didn't know she was going to make it or not, the first few days there, the people at this table and some other people made it their purely benevolent, utterly generous and human mission in life to find ways to help us. I went to sleep one night and woke up the next morning, and somebody had created a fund to help us out with the considerable expenses related to this that raised a truly enormous amount of money, for which I will never cease to be grateful. But that was it was really important. And it was you guys in your roles through both what you were doing at IGN and what you were doing here at the beginning of GameOvergreggy and what became Kind of Funny. And also some other kind people, just person after person that reached out. Again, the guys at Comedy Button and the folks at Unlocked and on, the kind people at IGN. But in addition to the money, there were always other people lifting me up. I was never alone. Never. Even when I was alone in a room, I was never alone. There were constant messages and phone calls and texts and knocks at the door and people coming to my desk and people coming to the hospital and people coming to the room. The kind people over at Good Job Brain just showed up to visit my wife because they knew it was her favorite podcast. And they visited her in the hospital. They just out of the kindness of their hearts. And this went on and frankly still goes on. People still help me. And man, I hate being a tragedy. I hate it because there's an element of it where for a while you feel like a great burden upon people, even though you didn't cause the situation. But eventually, in the course of this, I learned to accept something about life that I learned through this. We are lost without each other. We just are. And I think that's the germ, the seed at the center of the show. It's all about how other people make us who we are for the better. That experience plays highly, deeply, intrinsically into that. I don't talk about it publicly very much, but my faith's tied up in that idea that ultimately the love of people for other people is the most important thing in the world and the only thing that really changes things. I've witnessed that, and I'm going to try to find a way to share what I've learned through that. The focus isn't going to be on me. I'm talking to others, and the focus isn't even going to be on the person next to me so much as it is how other people made them the best of who they are.
And I think that's the coolest thing about this. We were talking about this out there, but you know, everybody's favorite thing is themselves. Everybody loves to talk about themselves. Everybody loves making their lives better. And like at the end of the day, that, you know, you are you, so you know you better than anyone else does. However, you are only the people that you surround yourself with. You are the relationships that you have. Your entire life's journey is to find love, to find companionship, to find friendships with people that make you better, that make you feel fulfilled, and all of these things. And I feel like the idea of the show is so brilliant because it allows you to really kind of stop and think about who are the people that are making you strive to be who you want to be and who you want them to have in their lives and whatever it is. And I think that it really does go very deep into what I believe, like you were saying, life is about, which is relationships. And it is working with other people and talking to other people and figuring out like just what we do in the show. Like we learn from each other and from the audience and from everything. But it's like, I think that it's a beautiful thing to be positive. I always love being positive, but I think that to really kind of not just be blindly positive, but to focus on what is positive and what you truly think is important about somebody else, and talking about that allows you to speak about stories in a way that you really can't in any other framing.
Yeah, it's possible to be positive without being unrealistic, but I think to be positive in the face of the horrible realisms that also surround us requires other human help. It just does. And thank God I'm surrounded by kind people who do that, and so are a lot of others. It doesn't always work out that way for everybody. I recognize that, but we should tell the stories. We ought to represent the whole spectrum. You know, there's plenty of evidence out there that the world is a crappy, terrible place full of horrible things. The last few weeks are a reminder to us on a global scale of how awful things are, but that's not the whole story. I just want to present another tiny piece of what's real there, which is that, yeah, that's all true, and so is this. Here's a few of the good ones that also exist there. And I hope I can do that with some sincerity. I had doubts about how this would work out, but I've got a couple of these in the can now. And I was surprised how well it came out. People are eager to talk about the people that have influenced them in the best ways and in the most positive ways. And there are stories that are funny and heart-wrenching and striking and inspirational, all tied up in these little two-person interviews. And I was like, okay, I think this is actually something worth doing. And I wouldn't do it if I didn't think it was. So once I got those test bed pilots in the can, I was like, yeah, we're gonna do this.
Well, at some point you have to drop this whole like, I'm just Jared Petty, and admit that you're good at this.
Yeah,
like, you're great at podcasting. You're great at talking. The Gamescast we just did was great.
Fantastic.
I mean, you could talk to anybody.
I like talking.
It's like I was talking to somebody the other day when we were pitching something. I forget for what show or whoever sales thing we were talking to. Oh, it was panels. People were worried about panels. I was going to be on a Comic-Con, and they were worried about one of these developers clamping up. And I'm like, I could talk to a rock for an hour and probably make it all right. You don't have to worry about it. And you strike me as the exact same way. And that's why we always loved having you on Beyond. But when we introduced you here, and then when we originally introduced you like on Beyond as a personality, at some point we started calling you the Reverend. Yeah. Because you had been a Reverend at one point.
Still am, technically. Yeah. Still got my credentials. I haven't taken them away yet.
You talked about how you don't talk about your spirituality often. Mm-hmm. Everything that happened to you in the last year and a half, did it weaken it at all? Did it strengthen it? I mean, were there moments?
It changed it. Yeah, there were moments. There still are. I absolutely. This is a process. Here's the thing about almost getting killed. It does terrible things to your body. And if you get that close to dying and live through it, you are never the person you were before. That's what's happened to my wife. And if you are near someone and you care about someone that's happening to, you will never become the person you were again. We can never go back to the way it was. Emotionally, physically, everything about my life, from my goals to my dreams to our plans about our family, all of that changed and is still changing. And I still don't know what the landing point is. And we still get news, and some of it's great. She's so much better in so many ways than we ever thought. And some of it's awful and terrible. And we still get awful news sometimes. And all of that shakes me to the core. And yes, I have laid in the night and cursed God, and I have laid in the night and prayed, and I have even, I believe, occasionally gotten a very palpable response on occasion, that just enough to keep me going. But that response, as I find, I spent 7 years in college studying scripture and 5 years in the pastoral vocation full time. And one of the things I learned, as I interpret it, the story of faith, whether you believe that there's a God or you believe there's no possibility that there's a God, in either case, the story of faith is people reaching out to one another and trying to help one another, not for the sake of their own self-interest, but simply because it makes the other person's life better and makes the world a better place. I mean, as I understand Christianity, the most important command Jesus said there ever was when he was asked, what do you do? He said, well, love God and do that by loving others. I don't care if you particularly about the prayer. I don't care particularly about the offerings and the sacrifices and the songs and the adornments. I care whether or not you help the person next to you, feed the hungry, take care of those who are in trouble, visit prisoners, and don't judge. Even if somebody hurts you, try to help them anyway. And that's hard to do. I have failed so many times in that, but I have been the recipient of so much of it. And it's not about deserving. It's just about divesting.
Well, I think that, when you approached me about your idea and we went out, it's actually when we saw Independence Day. And
all good ideas.
That was a dark day.
Yeah, it was one of the darkest days in modern human history. The day we saw Independence Day, and we were you and I and Aaron and Kate and Angie went to a restaurant. You and I were chatting, and I liked the idea that you had, but I also feel like we could I guess help or elevate a lot of different people in our lives, or a lot of just different people out there that we like. But you've always struck me as, and I've known you for a while now, as someone who deserves it, like deserves more, deserves better, deserves good things. And I've always had an incredible amount of respect for the way you carried yourself, not only after what happened to you and Angie, but actually before. Because I remember when you first started working at IGN, you and I had chatted a few times, but I'm like always running around and being like, kind of like curt, or just like, like, all right, that's cool. Like, and I remember approaching you a few weeks later and being like, I'm sorry. Like, there's something different about you, isn't there? Like, you're actually
douchebags like Vince and Janita.
You're just like, you deserve the person to stop and talk. You deserve the time. You have insight. You're smart. You're kind and friendly. Like, you're well spoken and articulate. You're educated. You're open minded. You're worldly. You've lived all over the country. You've lived in Japan. You've seen and done a lot of things with your life. And so I always had a great deal of respect after what happened with you and Angie, because I'll never forget. And you and I have talked about this before, where I remember that one of the first things I asked you after that was like, who did it? And are they are they dead? No, they're not. I was like, too fucking bad. I remember saying that. I'm like, fuck them, and you were like, and I was like, that's too bad that they get to walk away when that piece of shit should be 6 feet under, and I was full of this like vengeance and this like want of revenge. And the man who it happened to, and the man who watched his wife almost die and go through this catastrophe that only modern medical science helped and faith probably helped her get out of, was the one like, no, like, she's just a person and she's sick. I remember you saying to me, she's sick. And I'm like, the fuck are you talking about? And it showed me like, wow, I'm like totally bent in a certain way that I think a lot of people are about that. And you had such grace about it, and I'll never, ever, ever forget it. Like, I'll just never, like, as long as I can go, we can go do our separate things. I never see you again one day. And I'll always remember that, like, that lesson that taught me about who you are. And so it's because of that we want to go to the audience and ask them for their help to help you elevate this new project. You deserve it. Mm-hmm. And you've 100%. It's the same thing when we were on Podcast Beyond and we helped you raise some of that money so you can pay your bills in the months leading or the months subsequent to that terrible event. And we're going to do it again because you deserve it, and you deserve good things. You're smarter and kinder and friendlier and more real and more humble than almost anyone I've ever met. And the fact that you have all of those things inside you, like, you know, someone might have the humility, someone might have the kindness, you have all of it. And so I respect the shit out of you, and I hope that this is, I know you have very modest expectations about how this is going to do, but I think that you deserve meteoric success in this, and I hope you find it. And if we can be there at that germ stage, that seeded stage, then I'm happy to do it for you.
100%.
Thank you. It means the world to me.
Off your resume there of amazing attributes, Colin left off the time you brought in 2 submarine sandwiches and ate one for breakfast. And I was like, fuck yes. This guy is awesome.
That was a really big sandwich.
God, I'll never forget. I'm like, oh, Jared's even better than I thought he was.
Yeah. That leads to heart disease, kids. Don't do it.
You are authentically one of the good ones.
100%. 100%.
And I know inside you know that. But I've encountered and met so many people now that know you, you know, I've never heard one bad thing about you ever.
Oh, I have a list. I'll gladly share them, but perhaps this isn't the context or the time.
Thank you for your gracious words. It's incredible. So you, kind of you. So we're all wishing you the very best. You're part of this family, and so
exactly.
Thank you, and thank you guys for elevating this.
So please support Jared's new endeavor. I think it sounds fun. We're all going to be on it, so
yeah,
probably multiple times.
And so Remy, so we've talked about the show's launching. There's a Patreon for it, but it'll be available for free everywhere.
Yeah, it's going to be available. Here's the details. So the day this goes up, it's going to be out there. It's going to be available. It's available for free. You're going to be able to find it on YouTube. You're going to be able to find it on the Patreon site. You're going to be able to find it at pocketsfullofsoup.com. We'll be on Twitter. We'll be on Facebook. There'll be a Facebook group. You can join that. Find it there. We will be on iTunes eventually through SoundCloud, but I'm subject to the Apple launch stipulations. That takes a little while. You guys know that really well. But there'll be a direct link to the MP3 on the Patreon and on the website, so you should be able to just go there and find it through the SoundCloud link there. That's the audio version. Of course, come to YouTube, subscribe. That will help tremendously. It's going to be free and available to everybody else. There will be, of course, the usual cadre of backer tier rewards, and you can go to Patreon and find those. And I really do hope you will, because I like money and I could use your help. But people have already helped, and
I mean, you keep dancing around it. Like, you keep saying you like money and not, but I mean, it all goes back to the Angie thing, right? Like, you do this show because you want to do a show and you want to have your own project.
I do it because I want to have my own project, and I do it because I live in San Francisco and I have a job that is wonderful and great, but my wife hasn't been able to return to work full time. And yeah, it would be helpful to find a way to make ends meet. But also, frankly, I mean, this is going to be fun. If I don't make a dime on this is going to be fun. And I think it's a tiny little way of giving back to.
And I just want to put this out there, just because there's going to be a lot of people out there that's like, oh, well, then why do you live in San Francisco if you need money, blah, blah, blah. You don't live in San Francisco.
That's true. I live far away from San Francisco.
You live far away from San Francisco and have to commute to San Francisco for work, which is a very different thing. And that, I think, is a better representation
That's a good point.
Of
the
financial situation.
I can't really move much farther and still do what I do the way I do it. I live kind of about as far away as you can. And for those not familiar, the San Francisco economic situation is a particular one.
It's a shit show.
Yeah,
it's an utter shit show.
But I'm not trying to gripe there. But yeah, guys, look, I'm not apologetic about this. I really hope that you will give and get involved, and I hope soon to hear from a bunch of you too. You'll be able to, if you want to send in questions, by the way, you can mail those to mail@pocketsfullofsoup.com. So if you want to ask some of our guest things as they're coming up, some of the people that you can look forward to, you can ask me questions, of course, but you can also ask questions for Greg. We're filming you today. I don't know if they'll get in time when this goes up.
I can tweet out if you want to say I'm doing a new podcast.
Doing something, but
I can do it right now if you want. I won't say anything about you.
You won't say anything about me? No, not at all.
No,
not a little bit.
I mean, do you want me to? I don't want to blow your soft launch.
Let's go. No, that's a couple of weeks from now. We'll give it time. So yeah, when this goes up, and then our big launch, that'll be August 1st. But you'll be able to get the content before then, because this is specifically timed for the kind people who give to Kind of Funny's Patreon, who are so generous. And again, everybody's asking you for your money. I get that. I don't want to take advantage of your goodwill. But I really think this is actually something worth supporting, or I wouldn't be here doing this right now.
And of course, as you guys know better than anybody else, of course, just go subscribe on iTunes, the YouTube page, all that stuff. Because even if you don't have money to give or don't want to give it, you want to see what the show turns out to be. Those numbers help. And
absolutely so much.
Yeah. Yep. Well, Jerry, we wish you well.
Thanks.